And good afternoon, everybody. Back with another Sunday stream where we edit our puppy photographs. If you've not been here before, welcome. I'll tell you a little bit about today. Sundays, we edit shelter animal photographs. My wife and I volunteer at a local shelter, and we take photographs. Usually it's around 10 dogs or so, depending. Sometimes it's been as much as almost 30 dogs on a day, depending how bad it gets. And I come home, I import those all into Lightroom, and then we go through, we edit those photographs, talk about dogs, sheltering, fosters, everything a little bit, and while we get through them and get them all ready. We get all those pictures ready and we send them out, or we put them up on the website for the shelter to help get the dogs adopted, and we also package those up and send them out to other volunteers. Got music down just a hair. And so I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you're along for the ride. I hope you enjoy your canine companions as much as we do around here. I do have 3 of my own, all rescue dogs. If you're watching this on Twitch, you can check it out in the panels below. If you're watching it somewhere else, you can go to my Twitch and check those out on the panels. So I guess there's nothing better to do but just get to it. It's been a pretty good day overall, not too crazy. Between work and doing the volunteer work and the shelter animals and streaming, it's been a plate full, to say the least. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the streaming. I really enjoy talking with you guys and sharing my experiences with it and anything else I might have to offer. Welcome to hop in the conversation anytime. Just say hi, or if you see something you like or want to talk about, or you're curious about something I'm doing, please say so. And I will try to do my best to explain it. So all of the photographs we're looking at now in Lightroom are the straight imports from the camera. I haven't even really looked at them or touched them. So when we go to the shelter, and actually we used to get a list, now we're generating our own lists of some of the dogs that just don't have great pictures on the internet or out there on social media. Excuse me. And to give you an example, this is one of the kennel cards that they use there, and I've seen much worse, but this is the kind of shots that they get, and they're typically just intake shots. They're shots that the staff will get so that they have a visual reference of what that dog looks like, because their names can get changed. They may not know their names or whatever. So just in case the dog will get mixed up somewhere or something, they have visual reference for the dog. And just look at a couple more here to get an idea. And these aren't too terrible. I've definitely seen worse. Again, excuse me, a little something in the throat. Oh, what a sweetie. And this, Mel, really super sweet dog there. And we'll get to those. And we have a Lucas. Beautiful, beautiful dog. Really, really laid back. Wasn't that old, 6 months old. 6-month-old male, a Shepherd Anatolian mix. He looks exactly like an Anatolian, but he was smaller, if you're familiar with that breed at all. And we had, let's see who we got here. Cammy, another sweetie. And we'll go through and we'll talk about them all a little bit as I recall them. I try to remember as much as I can about the dogs, but we photograph and work with so many that it can be very challenging to keep up with those. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going through and I always take a picture of the kennel card first when I can, so that I can keep a reference. It gives me a visual reference point for when I started to photograph that animal, and it also contains a lot of information about that dog that I'll use later when we go to get these ready for social media. So I'm just going to go through and put these in stacks. And so they are easier to work with as we go through them. And I used to do a lot of this in Photoshop. I had Lightroom as far as like the Creative Cloud goes, but I never really used it. I was an idiot for not doing that. That is not what I wanted. I wanted stacking, group into stacking. And I know because of the way I have to capture this, I realize some of my menus might be cropped off your screen halfway or entirely. And I apologize for that. It's just the way that I have to capture this video because of the way Lightroom renders and the way that OBS captures that video. It doesn't play well with it. So I have to just do a capture on the desktop. And that's what we're doing, just a small portion of that desktop. But we should be streaming. We're streaming today at 1080 still. I have not done a 1080 stream yet with Photoshop and Lightroom. So hopefully it goes okay. I'll keep an eye on it. If it gets too choppy, we'll restart the stream with lower res. So today we got 7 animals. And Nudge, who we'll do last, we've tried to photograph him for several weeks, but he was really very weary of new people, so we didn't. And we don't push the dogs. If we don't feel like they're comfortable coming out, we don't take them out. Just that plain and simple. We don't want them to feel bad about coming out or awkward or force them into a situation that makes them feel very uncomfortable and maybe even doing something silly like nipping at someone or something when it's not them. It's just the fear of everything, because it can be crazy for them. So for the shelter, again, if you haven't watched any of my streams before, I believe, well, we're into, I think, a 3rd week now of streaming, and this is our 3rd, I believe, stream of editing dogs. It might be the 4th, but I think it's the 3rd. Either way, we're getting a little better at it. I appreciate you guys being patient with me on it. But we are going to go through here and we're going to find at least 3 photos of each dog. We need a face shot, a body shot, and preferably either some kind of a creative shot or personality shot, something that really just speaks about the dog or is a fun picture, kind of a personality thing. And we got the way we shoot these and the time of day we shoot these is between the hours of 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Depends on when exactly we can get up there and get it done. Not the optimal time for the most beautiful lighting. A lot of these pictures are going out low res on social media. They don't need to be knock out of the park pictures. And speaking of that, we may go over some of those later, but they just need to be good shots of the animals that don't necessarily look like they're kennel photos, that just show more about the dog, a little clearer, just a little better composition on them. So we're going to go through and pick our headshot. And with our headshot, I would typically try to find one that's not necessarily usable for anything else unless I have an abundance of great headshot. Like there's a beautiful, beautiful face shot. It's got a bad crop here. This was shot for the face shot. So really good one there. I really like. That's probably the one we're going to use. It's open mouth. Yeah, it's really pretty. Get more into the personality of the dog here. And I do overshoot a bit when you're shooting animals, and that sounds terrible. When you're photographing animals, it can be challenging to say the least. They move around a lot. You never know where they're going to go. They obviously don't completely understand you as far as commands go. Some of them have no training at all. Some of them have some training. But it can be a challenge, so I tend to overshoot to get make sure I get what I want out of it. And we're gonna go ahead and use that. And for the shots, as far as the composition and compositional aspects of it, the application that the shelter uses requires a 1:1. If I shot in a 5:4 or a 16:9 or something like that, the application forces you to crop that image before it goes in. So even if you start out with a 5:4 16:9, when you upload the photo, it gives you a preview of it with a crop. It's unavoidable. I have contacted the developer of that application about it, and they basically said, without saying, they're too small and don't have the budget to just throw developers on it and go fix it, but it's something they're looking at correcting in the future. So there you go. But it's all about the animals. That's who we're trying to help here, and that's what we want to do. We want to get them some great shots, or at least the best we can do. Straighten this one out a bit. And I did not want to do that. I'm going to crop that in. A wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. Beautiful picture. And we'll go into Photoshop afterwards. We're going to take these leashes out. For me personally, and I mentioned this before on the streams, if you haven't visited us before though, I prefer not having the leash in. I don't mind the collars. I prefer not to have collars as well, but I don't remove them if they have them on. But to me, it just makes the dog feel more approachable, makes the picture feel better. So that's how we do it. So there's our face shot. Let's see about that body shot. I don't mind the pose here. We are missing the tail, and I'm not a big fan of how his. Well, where did I just come from? How his head's kind of postured. It's postured kind of awkwardly. We may not have a choice. We'll just see. This one would have been a better one, but it doesn't look like the flash went off on this one. That one's not too bad either. We're still missing the tail. Missing the tail. Missing the tail. We better make sure this dog has a tail. Some of them do not. And I didn't get... Doesn't look like I got a good angle. Who was this Pow? Okay, this is Pow. And you can't see the P there because the flash blew that out, but I know it's Pow. And Pow does not have a tail. Pow is part blue heeler. Yeah, red heeler. So he had his tail cropped. So he does not have a tail, so we're safe there. Unfortunately, though, like I said with that one, the flash, and these were just taken close back to back, and the flash didn't recharge. It happens. I still take them because you never know when you're going to have no choice but to work with that particular photograph. Because you never really know what you got until you get them into Lightroom and get to look at them for real. I can glimpse at them on the back of the camera to give me an idea of what positions I got, but unless I want to stop and zoom through all the photos and zoom in and try to did it focus right, did everything go happen right, you just have to use your experience and a little bit of luck and hope that you nailed it every time. And of course that doesn't happen every time. But what a beautiful, beautiful dog. And man, that Tamron really nailed it here. Really nailed it. And here I'm running at 1/2000th of a second shutter speed at 6.3 ISO. Now on this side, or 6.3 at 100 ISO. On this side of the building, the sun can play a problem for bright, light-colored dogs, light coats. And we'll see that as we get down the road here, because I know there's one particular dog, and I don't remember the dog's name, but they're pretty much white. And I had a lot of problems with getting a lot of blowout on their fur. So I really had to crank up that shutter speed. I even changed the aperture a little bit to get a better result with the fur. And I did finally get it, but I'm curious at what it looks like now when we actually get to see the picture. So unfortunately for a full body shot, I think we can get away with that one. That one's pretty good. Last week, I'm not quite sure. I was thinking about that the other day. Last week, we ended up with a lot of soft photos for some reason. When I say soft, if you're not familiar in the photography world, that means slightly, just barely out of focus. So it makes, when you zoom in, and I might be able to show you an example. I don't know. And they were pretty far away from me on this one. But, well, you can kind of tell, I don't know how well on the stream. Down here, like the tongue is a little bit blurry on the edges. That's what we would call a little soft, but it's more in reference to how the actual focus went in. Like we were looking for their eyes in this one, and it really nailed it. We might be back just a hair more with the hair, no pun intended, than we wanted to be, but it still came out really nice. And especially after these are down resed, you'd never know the difference. And I also mentioned last week, and I go over these things. Hopefully, it's information you guys like to know because you're here for a few reasons. You either know me, and thank you for supporting me. You are interested in photography or editing, or you're just interested in the animals. So I try to share some of that stuff as we go through this to see, to help in any of those ways that you might be here, for any reason you might be here. So I think we'll use that for a body shot, and now we just need kind of a personality shot. But so many of these pictures end up really beautiful. That sun, it wasn't quite high noon, so we did get a little bit of an angle on it, and you can tell by the picture here, but it's almost that high noon sun, which can be terrible, especially on people. Dogs, it's not so bad because they have the nose that sticks out and it'll catch some of that light. People, it can be really difficult because you get a really flat light. Excuse me. But I also use that on-camera flash, and that helps eliminate a lot of that. So we don't have to worry so much about that. And if you're a photographer or you're aspiring photographer and you're using natural light, I actually recommend, highly, highly recommend starting out with natural light. Because one, it takes the complexity of flash out of it. And for two, it makes you learn light, starting at kind of the root of it, which is my ambient light. What am I getting from the room? What am I getting from the environment? What is it reflecting off of, bouncing off of, things of that nature? It makes you start to think about a lot of those things that are going to be very important moving forward. But don't be afraid to grab a flash. Don't be scared of them. They're not as scary as you think. Especially nowadays, you can get TTL if your camera supports it. And TTL flash, you basically just turn on TTL mode. Your camera knows you're in TTL, and it'll automatically set the flash for you and fire it at the appropriate power. I say automatically fire at the appropriate power. There are times when it acts inappropriately because of the overall scene. Not that common. Don't worry about that. Get out there, use them. You're going to learn them. Get out of TTL eventually. Don't shoot an automatic eventually. But start there. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh my gosh, you're shooting automatic. You must be a terrible photographer. It's not about that. Nobody starts knowing everything about photography or how to shoot or how to use a flash or how to pose people or whatever that might be. Just start. Use your phone. Just start somewhere and start building that knowledge. And before long, you'll have enough to get where you want to go with it. I've been working on it a lot of years as a hobbyist. I didn't until about, when did I buy that? It was probably been about 10 years ago. I bought my first DSLR. Whenever the T2i came out, the Canon Rebel T2i, or 550D, I think they also refer to it as. Whenever that first came out is when I started seriously getting into, well, I say seriously, more seriously getting into the hobbyist end of it. And then 4 or 5 years ago, I went up to my Nikons, big lenses, everything, went professional with it. Love doing it, really do, especially doing things like this for the animals. It makes you feel so good to help. So anyway, there's enough of that spiel. We got our head shot, we got our body shot, and now we want some kind of personality shot or cute shot. I like the tongue out there, that's cute. Let's see what else we might have. We got the sitting pose. And we got sitting pose with the tongue out. That one I really like. That one's good too. A big old smile. It's a touch soft on that one. That one's that's beautiful. Again, I know that the stream may not, even though it's at 1080, it may not capture the full quality of that photograph, but oh my gosh, it nailed it. So we are going with that. Yeah, I tell you, I'm not even crop much of that. Love it. We'll probably pull those eyes up just a hair over in Photoshop. But other than that, beautiful. And there's a couple things I forgot. First of all, we have to crop the kennel card in the same aspect ratio. It just makes it more usable. Not that this goes anywhere. This is more for reference. I send this out in the package that I send the other pictures out in, so that if a volunteer or whoever, staff member, whoever ends up with the picture package, has a reference guide if they need more information about that dog. Sometimes you get dogs that look very close to the same. This helps tell them apart. I do save all the files by their kennel number, which is right here. All of them and all the file names, so they can easily find the photographs, but I also include this card in case there was something that they wanted to know they could see quickly. The other thing I did not do was apply my lens corrections. And again, for this photography, I use a Canon. I'm trying to think of too many things at once. Sorry. Nikon D810 and a Tamron 70-200. And that combination is so out of this world. It's really a kick butt combination for doing this kind of stuff. I also use that 70-200 for a lot of event photography. The Nikon is a beautiful camera line for portraits and stills. It's doing the video you're seeing right now, so it does video, and it does good video, but it's not very flexible in the video end. So if you want something that does more video than photo, you might go for something more like the Sony. I say the Sony. Nikon has some new mirrorless series out that I haven't looked a lot into. I don't know how theirs is stacking up now. I just know Sony has kind of led the way on that. But I prefer Nikon's portrait photography, which is primarily what I do, is stills and portraits. Not much video. I have considered, though, two things. Since I use this camera all the time, and I also use it for this video for streaming, it's a pain in the butt. I say tear it down. I gotta take it off the tripod, pop the lenses off of it, pop all the battery stuff off of it, get it packaged up, use it, bring it back, put everything back on it, the battery, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. I do have that Canon T2i. I've thought about trying the video on, just to see what it looks like. And I may try that between now, well, I say between now. I stream today, tomorrow, and today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. Go back to work Wednesday. So hopefully, maybe by next time, we might use a different camera for a video here. We'll just have to see. I also have a Logitech C920 I use for the puppy cam, which I don't have any puppies with me right now, so that cam's not up. But the quality I don't care for on that one. But I'm hoping that Canon, I remember a lot of years ago, I've had that camera, like I said, for upwards of 10 plus. Whenever the Canon T2i Rebel came out is when I bought it. And I did a lot of amateur photography on it. I do remember it doing video and doing video decently, but we'll have to see. I don't know what its cap. It might only do 720, probably. I don't know. I'll have to look. But we might look into that, or I might even consider buying a Sony. It's quite a bit of money to shell out. But you know, I that convenience, man, it's such a big deal. And also the Sonys can have the autofocus, so if I move back here, I'm not blurry like I am now, or if I scoot up, or if I move entirely and we're doing something back there, it's not all blurry. So, because right now, like I said, if I move, you'll see the background, but it never changed because I'm set on manual focus right now. I'm manually focused at this range because it just, the autofocus just doesn't work well on. I haven't found the Nikon D810's autofocus for video to be worth a hoot, so I don't use it. So anyway, back to what we were doing. So we have all three shots of them. We were applying the lens corrections to the, because I had forgotten to go back and do that. So Tamron, yes, yes, yes. And we're going to go ahead, even though it's very close to the same, we are going to go back to, where did my preset for that go? What's at 5500, which is close enough. I always run a daylight white balance, and I heard it, but I didn't see it. I apologize. Oh, I appreciate the follow. Thank you, Wickerman733. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming and visiting us and hitting that follow button. How are you doing today? Hopefully good on this Sunday afternoon. It's pretty beautiful here in Central Texas. But yeah, I always run a daylight balance on my camera 99.9% of the time, and there it is. It's because it's in the wrong spot. But my camera, and I don't know if you can see it on the stream. We'll get on a piece of this white here. This is as shot, so this is camera in daylight, and here it is in Lightroom's daylight. They are slightly different. The auto has a little bit of a yellow to it almost, so they're not exactly the same. So I just pop it in here for daylight balance. That's definitely good enough for what we're doing here, but that way everything's consistent. So we're going to copy these settings off. We're going to copy the white balance, the treatment and profile, and our calibration and our lens correction. So we're going to copy that off, and I'm going to do it one more time because Lightroom doesn't always, for some reason, the first time you do it, like to pick it up, and I'm not sure why that is. But we're going to go over here on our developed settings, and we're going to paste those on. And you notice how the center of that kind of popped in, and I'll back it off, and I'm going to do it again when I paste those settings. And the reason that it's doing that is Lightroom is applying kind of a warp to the picture for that lens's profile, because all lenses, all of them I know of, have some sort of barrel distortion to them. And when you apply these presets, I don't know, I'm guessing the manufacturer might send them to Adobe to put into the Lightroom or their packs. I'm not exactly sure. And sounds like Jackson's out now. But it basically fixes the barrel distortion, so you get the picture exactly as you've seen it when you took it. And that is what we're going for. I did want to check too, and I'm going to pop this over full screen real quick. We do have, yeah, it did work. You notice now there's a follower goal on the bottom left. I've been thinking about my first Twitch goal, and one of my good friends has suggested to me, he says, well, how about when you hit whatever goal you want, you let Jackson sit in your lap. Now, if you don't know Jackson, Jackson is one of our 3 shelter rescues. He's almost 140-pound Great Dane, and he's a bundle of joy and love, but he's also a puppy because he's a little over 2.5 now and a pain in the butt. But I know he would love nothing more than to hop in my lap. So that's what we're doing. Once I hit my 50 follower goal, we're going to do on stream. It'll probably be on a Sunday. Well, I say if we hit it on a Sunday, it'll be on a Sunday, and I'll figure it out how to get the camera set up, and I'm gonna bring him up and let him sit on my lap, and you guys can watch him squeeze the tar out of me. He thinks he's a Chihuahua, but he is a big boy. So yeah, we applied our filter to that, or our lens correction to that. Now we're gonna do the same thing here, and you notice that popped a little bit, and we had one more, and we just paste them on because it's simpler. And that didn't pop there. Let me make sure that it paste on there. See, sometimes it just doesn't want to work the way it should. All right, so that's all a POW. Again, he was a really sweet guy. He went to the adoption event last week, and I can't believe he did not get adopted. He's such a sweet dog and laid back and easy to walk on a leash. Really, really good dog. So he's done. Now we're going to move on to Jack. Jack was a 6-month-old, I believe he was. Wow, I'm really zoomed in here. No, he's 1 year old. I thought he was younger than that. But he was very much puppy-like behavior, a little bit skittish, being a little bit scared. It's a scary place for them, being in these shelters. And I always tell people on the stream as well, if you're an advocate for shelters, or you're a volunteer at shelters, you work at a shelter or a rescue or anything else, first of all, thank you very much for doing that. People like you make all the difference in these animals' lives, and it's a big deal. Even if you may not think it is, it's a huge deal for them, and it helps out the shelters and rescues immensely for that time. But you get there and you work with the dogs because they get, they come in off the street or unwanted or abandoned. They're scared. They're crammed into kennels. They don't have a lot of interaction with people, marginal, and you won't always see the dog you're going to get when you go to these shelters. You're going to see a dog that's either timid and scared of everybody because he doesn't know where he is or what's going on. He's just scared. He or she's just scared. You might get one that's super excited and all over the place and jumping up on the fence and everything. And that's usually pent up energy because they hadn't got to exercise, they hadn't got playtime or any of that. So, you know, just when you go to a rescue or a shelter, whether it's to volunteer or get a dog or whatever, consider that with the dogs, because that's something we learned over time as well, is that what you initially get is most likely not what that dog's about. It's just the situation. But once you can get a dog's confidence up in you or in their environment, they become a totally different dog. Totally different. So he was a younger guy. He was a little bit shy here. He was kind of rolling around on the ground a little bit. He wanted to do a lot of laying down, which a lot of the more shy dogs will. And we had a hard time getting him to post the pictures. Looks like all of them are sitting, which if that's the best we can get of them, then that's the best we can get. It's typically better than what they get initially from the shelter, which I'm not condoning the shelter for that at all. Or should I say blaming the shelter? It's what they have. It's what they have to work with. They have a process. They have their phones or whatever camera they use to get a quick snapshot, and there it is. So we go up there and we try to get better pictures for the sake of getting them out there and get them adopted. So I'm looking for that face shot, and even though this was shot for a face shot, I can tell by the way I composed it, we're probably going to have to use that as more of something else. Because if we do, like, what are we going to use for a body shot? I guess we'll use one of these sitting shots. He's squinting there. He's looking off there. It doesn't look like we got a flash on that one. And here he has his tongue out. So that's probably the closest thing we have for a body shot. But you notice because of the way his tail's coming out, and because we have to crop to a 1:1, we're going to have to cut his tail off here. Like, we'll have to. But we don't really have another good option. Here, he's just hunched down way too far. So we're going to go ahead and put this one in a 1:1 and see. Yeah, it's not. If we're going to lose it, we're going to do it right. We'll just cut it all out of there. So I try to get a balance, even though it's very hard in a 1:1, and I wish we didn't have to crop it that way. It's hard to get a balance of negative space in the dog in a composition that seems appealing to me. When you have to go down to 1:1, give me a 5:4, give me a 16:9, whichever. The old platform used to, the new platform doesn't. I'm not a fan of it. But there you have it. That's why we're doing it that way, is because we don't have a lot of choice. And the music got a little loud. So we've got our body shot. We'll go ahead and paste the camera settings onto that. Not stacking, develop settings. These menus are so huge. I'll go ahead and flag that one. And we needed a personality shot and a face shot yet. So out of what limited selection we have here, we need 2 more good ones. I mean, that's not bad. It's awful close to the body shot. Jackson. And he may come in here shortly and we'll turn the puppy cam. Actually, I don't think I have the puppy cam set up on this stream for photo editing. We'll see. If not, I can always figure out how to get it over there. I don't like how much he's squatted down in that one. Alright, well, I'm gonna use this for his headshot. And this is their primary picture. This is the one that gets used the most and seen the most. So it's the one I really try to make sure it's a good one. Not always that fortunate. I'm going to go ahead and paste my lens corrections on this because it might move it a little. Let's try it again. Or did I do it already? Looks like I might have did it already. Yeah, because it's stuck. All right. Yeah, I lose track of things sometimes. Squirrel. And I soapbox a little bit. But like I always say, never take anything I say to heart. Always take it with a grain of salt. Always talk to a professional. Yeah, we'll stick with it. I was looking at the ground level there, but it's because of the angle we were at against the building. It's a little distracting for me, but it's alright. I think it's okay. it'll work for what we're doing. So we had a face shot, body shot, and we need one other kind of shot. And I'm not overly thrilled with any of them. That ended up blurry because he was rolling around. He was actually not rolling around as soon as I was getting ready to snap it. And I guess when I snapped it, he rolled around. So that's going to be unusable. We're just going to go ahead and save the space. Each one of these pictures are it's a little over 50 megs per photograph on the hard drive in its raw format. So any of those that we know we're never going to use, we just get rid of them, save the space. I think I may use that and just crop into it. I think I will. I'm going to try that. So we're just going to try to use this photograph. We're going to crop into it pretty heavy. And we'll go into, again, we'll go into Photoshop afterwards and clean up these leashes. I prefer not to have the leashes in the pictures. I just think they look better and they feel better. So we got all of Jack's. Headshot, body shot, somewhat of a personality shot. It's a little different. We're going to have to lighten those eyes up a little bit in that one. And we're going to move on to Marley. Now this one's really dark because it was actually taken. There's the way these kennels are set up. Let's see if I can explain this in a way it makes sense. The way that the kennels are set up, they're set up in 3 different runs. You got A, B, and C, and each one of those has, I think, about 60 kennels in each run, 30 per side. And you have 2 walkways on the outside that are covered that go outside the kennels, and you have 1 in the center for volunteers and staff. And for these darker ones, we were either already inside or it was locked on the outside, and we had to go inside to get the dog. So they were taken inside, and rather than going through and changing all the settings, taking the picture, going out, changing all the settings, I do run full manual. I just take them dark and figure out if something's wrong that you can't read it, I'll fix it here. These are not used anywhere. They're just for reference for the people that get the photographs in the end. So if they need more information, they can get them. And we can just turn up the exposure a little bit on that. There we go. That's better. So at least they can read it if they need to. And this was Marley. Marley was definitely different. What was the breed on that? It doesn't say. A husky. I don't know what they were mixed with. They have kind of the husky patterning, but they were really short. The flash didn't go off on that one. They were really short for the breed. Although it was a very beautiful dog, it was just very short. So it was a little bit different, but their upper body was the size of a husky. They just had short legs. So this dog was actually the opposite of most dogs. This dog was incredibly still the whole time. Very still. So we didn't get a ton of options. I had a difficult time getting a look. I think that's the only time I got him to look at the camera. So we made his crop into that, lighten it up more than it probably should be, and fix the eyes and stuff in post, just because it looks like it's the only straight look shot we got. And that happens frequently, unfortunately. They get timid of the cameras. And once you fire that flash, they get gun shy. Kind of like lightning or something. They just do not like it. I'm going to hit auto on that. But that brought it back a little too much, actually. That's better. And all we're trying to do here is just lighten things up a bit, because that was natural light as compared to flash. I was trying to find you a good example here, but I don't really, because it's only head on when I have. You can see like the catch light in their eyes and everything from the flash here. Where here you do get a little bit of catch light, but it's really light, and that's because that's just the skyline in their eyes and not the flash. But that's what we got to work with, so that's what we're going to use. Need a body shot. I really like that. I didn't like that his foot was over on the sidewalk, and I knew that when I took it, but the dog didn't want to move around a lot. I didn't want to drag them around. I say we, my wife helps me. So we just kind of like it. You take what you can get. That one's, I don't like how much they're turned there. I like this profile better. So we're going to see. And did I paste my lens corrections on that last one? I'm not sure. Here we're going to lose some of the tail. And that's really too far over, but go ahead and auto that one and then pull it back down a hair. Because you're just trying to strike that balance that you like as an editor. They're your pictures and you edit them the way you see fit. Just try to be consistent about it. That's the biggest thing, consistency. I'm okay with that. I'm not a huge fan, but it'll work. Okay, now we need a third one, which is more of a personality. That looks soft. It's not. It's just the way it's rendering. I think this one will work. This is more of a hero sort of shot. And it's also kind of another body shot. So I should have autoed some of those other ones as well. But this, particularly with the darker dogs or the really light dogs, if they've got more of a neutral coat, it's not nearly as bad. Because it usually speak for itself unless there was something really goofy going on. And I don't like what I did there. If there's something really goofy going on with the lighting, you don't always need to auto it. It really just depends on you if it came out the way you liked. And we're gonna, because we didn't. Did you paste? Because I didn't see you snap. It did. And maybe that I just totally missed it. Very possible. See, that one didn't paste that time. Sometimes, for whatever reason, it doesn't like to paste on there. I'm going to turn that exposure up a little more. Because here we're dealing with more of the shade of that tree that was behind her. It looks good. I'm going to Mel. And go 1-to-1. He was pretty shy as well. And we don't need corrections on that. And I'm sorry, the mic's cutting out a little bit here and there. I turned up my compressor just a hair because I was getting some weird background stuff. But I can actually get that off your screen. Pull that down a little bit. I think. Sorry, I'm being quiet on purpose so I can tell when I can hear my mouse click through the microphone. That's kind of my reference. We'll try that. Again, it's mostly work in progress. If you hear things that sound weird or something doesn't sound right, please let me know. Or if you have other things you'd like to see or know or hear about or whatever, there's a suggestion box. If you're watching this on Twitch, there's a suggestion box down below in the panels. Feel free to throw something in there. I'd love to hear back from you. Or if you're on YouTube watching this later, that's awesome too. Hit me up in the comments. Throw a subscribe. That would be awesome. So Mel, beautiful brindle. What was the breed? Pitbull mix. Mike Jackson is a brindle. He's more of a gray brindle though, not the brown. What I'm looking for now is a face shot, and if I recall, I had a time with him, getting him to look at the camera as well. That's funny. And that looks like the only shot where I got him looking face on. Oh, here we go. Here's one. He's got grass on his nose, but we can get rid of that. We may use that. Because I've got, looks like a bunch of body shots. But very few is he looking right at the camera. So, yep, looks like we're going to be using this one. And I'm going to crop this down. And this is part that drives me nuts. Now, if I was able to use a 5.4, I could work with that. Right, that would be workable. It's not that much different than a 1:1. But man, that 1:1. 5x7 would even be better. 16:9 would be even better. But they won't let me do it, so I say they won't. The application won't. I could export multiple versions of a photograph, but for the amount of dogs we do, it's not a viable process. Not and be able to keep doing it. Of course, you know, again, my wife and I do this as volunteers. We go every Sunday and take these pictures for these dogs. And we love doing it. It is a lot of work, and we try to do as much as we can in the time that we have to give to them. And we're fortunate. I mean, I'm not well off by any means, but we're very fortunate, and we wanted to give back. And this is how we do it. And if you're in the same boat, I encourage you to do the same thing, even if it's not with animals. There are lots of places to volunteer and give back to your community. And I recommend it. So I think that's gonna work for our face shot. Did I paste these already? It looks like I did. Yes, I did. They're a little dark. I'm gonna go ahead and auto these, and they're probably, yeah, they're gonna pull them up. I don't want them quite, again, I mentioned this before. Lightroom has the tendency to super flatten the picture and really drop the contrast. I am working on a color calibrated monitor. I say that. It's been griping at me to recalibrate it. It does that once a month. As it should. I just been procrastinating it, so it's been almost 2 months, I think, since I calibrated it. But I am working on a color calibrated monitor. And I remember back when I was first getting into editing these dogs and their pictures, and I would send them to go out on social media, and I would see them, and they had been edited again by the person that posted them. And they would look so bad. And I've contacted a few of those people. I was like, you know, what happened? Was there something wrong with the file when you got it or something? Like, oh no, it just, we couldn't see this, or that was too dark, or this or that. And I would explain to them, these are all done on a color calibrated monitor, and that not all monitors are the same. And while you may not be able to see it, the next person it may be really bright for. So I know that if you have a calibrated monitor, when you get my photographs, they're spot on. I would just leave them there. And it's a little bit of a personal thing too, because because I do take the photographs. I do consider myself at least somewhat of an artist, and it's my work. I prefer you don't goof with it unless you're doing something creative with it. Like if you're doing some artwork or something, fine. For these photographs, if it helps promote the dog, do it. But please don't change the colors because you didn't care for the colors. But it's for the puppies. So there's our face shot. And again, we'll remove all this goofy stuff when we get over to Photoshop. Now we need a body shot. And I've got several to choose from here. I was looking more at the head position. I like that too. I probably like that one better. Man, that Tamron just nailed it today. Nailed it. Sometimes, and it's happened to me more than once, and I am wondering if that's not what happened to me last time. But I was gonna go dig it out, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. My Tamron, and if you have one, you probably already know, but the way the switches work, it's got image stabilization on it, and you can turn autofocus off and on everything on the lens as well. But because of where they're positioned, and I use a camera strap, and it hangs on my leg, and sometimes it'll brush up against my leg and flip those switches. Like it'll turn the vibration reduction off or something, and I'll end up with a bunch of soft pictures because I didn't catch it. Usually pretty vigilant about when I lift it up, checking it with my thumb, making sure that it stayed there. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I miss it. So I think that's more of a profile. Well, actually, I don't know exactly what you would call that. A 3/4. I like the look there. Flash didn't go off. That's more of the style I like for the profile shots, but I think this is the only one where I have him looking this way. Maybe I'll just use that one. Yeah, I think I'm just going to use this one. And again, I've got to crop it. It's another thing that drives me nuts, is having to crop the tail off like that. Maybe I should just use this one, because I'm pretty sure I can 1-to-1 on that one and not have to cut that tail off. I'm just being nitpicky at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and paste my develop settings on here. I'm going to go ahead and auto it. It's going to bring it too bright. I'm sure it did a little bit. Tone that down just a hair. Sorry, I need to turn the TPI down on my mouse. Not quite that far. There we go. And I can do that right from my mouse button, thankfully. I'm gonna pull those blacks down a little and slide that contrast back up a hair. And I think that works. And we need that personality shot. Not a big fan of that one. And now I need to turn my DPI back up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be personality, just something creative or funny or something of that nature. I guess it was the way she was striding there. I think it was a she. Or was it a he? Oh, it's a he. So it can be very difficult sometimes, because you essentially only get 3 pictures to tell the dog's story. So you want to try to make those 3 really count. Excuse me. I had steak for lunch, a late lunch, and it's not agreeing with me too much at the moment, it seems. That in my nose is driving me nuts. It's that time of year, allergy season, which I never really had until I moved to Texas. And now it hit me pretty hard this year. We're going to try this one just to see what it looks like. And sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes you just got to put everything there and then see what you get in the end and see. Turn my DPI back down. And the reason I have to do that is because I'm working with Lightroom in a pretty small window in comparison to what I normally do. So I have much less room to slide these. Oh, too much. Okay, we can work with that. Face shot. Body shot. And a creative personality shot or whatever, tongue out. Here we have Lucas, the Pyrenees mix. And, man, he looked just like a Pyrenees. A Great Pyrenees, but just a lot smaller. And, it's a really beautiful dog. Very beautiful. Very white, and you'll see, this is that dog I was telling you about earlier that we'd see, because I took some pictures, and then I, kind of chimped at the pictures to make sure that I was at least getting the shots I wanted, and I noticed that it was blowing out. So I had to change some of my settings. So let's just go ahead and edit this picture first. Picture this Kindle card. So that we have it. And then, and I don't know how well you'll be able to tell. I know this is kind of small in the stream, but you can probably tell from the left to the right when I switched my settings up. So you can see we started here, and then we went here. Because not only was the dog completely white, or at least 90% white, but we also ended up with full-on sunshine. So we got these blowout spots. See? All the red there? The clipping. Same here. Clipping. Which, I could still make it work because it's all going low res anyway. But why when you have... If you can correct it, then correct it. So we'll see what else we got here. Very dark eyes. We may have to pull a face shot out of one of these if we got one that didn't clip all the crap. Looks like they all clipped pretty hard. Funny, but unusable. There he was scratching. It's a beautiful profile shot though. I don't know what it was. We sat him down, he started scratching on one side, and sat him down, he started scratching on the other. I don't know, maybe it's allergies for him too. Yeah, we don't really have a great face shot. This is probably the closest thing we got, but that's also a cute sitting shot. Could probably use that. We'll try it. So here, yeah, I bumped up to 1/400th of a second shutter speed at 7.1 aperture. To get rid of some of that ambient and to let in a little more light because we were running a little more of the flash since we were running such a high shutter speed. Go ahead and apply our develop settings to this. That pulled it in pretty good. exposure up a bit. We'll use that. I think that's all right. I've got a lot of that iris in there too. Beautiful. Now we need a body shot. That's not a very good one. Not that impressive. Wouldn't be bad, but he's hanging his head kind of low there. That would have been a better one, but it was blown out. I can probably use that. I mean, it's apparent that he's walking, so I don't mind his head being ducked because there's a motion at play here. So it, you know, it makes sense why his head would be ducked because he's striding forward. Beautiful shot there. We'll probably use that. Well, I would say use it. We'll try it, maybe try it in a 1x1, but this aspect ratio makes this photograph. This is what happens when you shoot a shot and see, it's only slightly off from where I would want it if it was to be more perfect. That would have been perfect. But this is an example of shooting for the shot that you want. Unfortunately, because we have to crop them, we can't. I always have to shoot further away than I want to have enough room to crop in, which doesn't always happen because the dogs are all over the place. And I have a gnat flying around in front of me. So I guess we'll go ahead and try this one out. See if we can make it work. I don't know why they slammed that door so hard. I mean, it is a very large wooden door, but still. Sorry about that. So I don't totally like my crop lines here, but we may not have much of a choice. Oh my gosh. In and out, in and out. And I don't have kids here. These are adults. Really? I don't know what they're doing. Again, I apologize. So, that was a little dark. I didn't turn my DPI down, so I'm trying to be careful. I'll turn it down. Let's contrast up just a hair. That works. So, face shot, body shot. That's cute, but I don't like how dark the eyes are, and it looks like it's a little soft as well. It is just a hair. I'm gonna see what I can pull off on the 1x1. That's such a beautiful shot, but it probably only works in a 5.4 or 16:9. Now we're getting drained. It's gonna be one of those days. So, and that one's ridiculously loud, and it's not that close to me either. Good night. Anywho, so I'm kind of breaking my own rules here, and that's because I believe that anything in the creative field, there are no rules, there are only guidelines. You create your own rules, and it's very situational. Normally, when I will crop a photograph of anything living that has a face, or moreover is mobile, and they are moving or looking somewhere, I always have them looking across the photograph or moving into it, not out of it. In this case, clearly he is looking to the left. He is looking to the left there. But because of the way that his body is twisted around like that, I'm okay with it. Because we kind of get this spiral, which is, you really want to try to get if you can get away with it. It's hard to do and be able to visualize it. It's not that hard to do in practice, but to actually have the picture visually do it like we do here, it's a little harder. But that's why that works. This works because we're getting this visual spiral here. So I'm going to auto that up, and it did flatten it out quite a bit. Turn DPI down. I'm going to slide that exposure up just a hair. Contrast up just a little. And we'll save it. And we're getting through these pretty quick today, as compared to normal. I'm trying to not soapbox as much. I'm bad about that. But I have a lot of opinions. Not that they're right, but I have a lot of opinions. Doesn't everybody? So this is Cammy. Cammy is a female shepherd, which obviously not full shepherd. Trying to figure out what. It's so hard to say what else might be in her. Like I've seen a brindled shepherds, but not. I actually don't know that you call that brindled. I don't know. But definitely different for the look of a shepherd. But here's another example of what, kind of what they get at the kennel. Usually not the most flattering shots. So we want a face shot. Preferably looking straight on with the flash. So that one we got the straight on, but without the flash, it looks like. Yeah, I guess we'll have to use that one. So I really don't see another good option. This one wouldn't be bad, but we're an awful strange angle. That one's too dark. Didn't get a flash. Let's look at this one because it's not going to be usable for anything else anyway. So we'll go ahead and look at it. It's not much of a face shot. There's so much body in it. Do we have another option? No, we can try this one as well, but not sure. It's only quite a bit of body because his ears are so doggone big. That or that. I think I prefer this one. This one, he looks a little scared. That mouth closed. So I'm going to go ahead and paste my lens corrections. Go ahead and auto it. Dial that back just a hair. Good with that. Body shot. Looks soft. It is. He was spinning his head. soft as well. No flash. That's what I mean. You gotta overshoot for these. Because you just never know. And here, he doesn't have a tail. Which I know he does. See, there's the end of it right there. And people will ask. That one's unusable. They will ask, does he have a tail? Maybe we'll... I was gonna say maybe we'll just use that one, but... honestly, I'm not overly impressed with any of these. I don't know. We'll just try one. And probably run with it. It's not a good crop for this one either because he's a little high in the composition. Again, not overly impressed, but it could be worse for sure. Contrast up just a hair. We'll run with that. Not to 0, set to 1. There we go. Okay, and the last one is Nudge. Nudge has been a work in progress. We've tried to photograph him for the past few weeks, and he just was not having it. He was very weary of new people, and we never try to push the dogs. We don't want him to fear bite or something like that, because that would be a death sentence for him at a shelter. But as we were walking down that kennel that had Nudge in it, because I had seen him, but I didn't put him on my list because I figured I'd stop by and see how he was doing. And as we were walking down that, one of the kennel staff came out and said, "Hey, did you get Nudge yet?" And we said, "No, we hadn't," because he had been very standoffish. And she said, "Well, I've been working with him, and I think I can introduce him to you, and then he will warm up to you." It's like, okay. She brought him out. Sure enough, warmed right up. He was a little bit skeptical of me in the camera, but he warmed right up to my wife. So all worked out for the better. He was a really sweet dog. He was just very weary. That looks like it blew out, but it didn't. So for face shot, I think we'll pull it out of this one. Face shot, head shot. I don't know, you can call it whichever you want, I guess. Out of that, it's going to pull it way down, I'm sure. Yeah, it did. But that's all right. It pulled a lot of the good color out of his fur, because it wasn't like white. It had a little bit of a tan tint to it. You can see from his ears. It had that same kind of tan. A little bit of tan to it. Got more of his eyes with that as well. That'll work nicely. That, we want a body shot. We don't have a great body shot here. He's got his face all twisted or something. This one he's looking too far away. This one he's too... it's a tad soft. Looks like he was walking this way, but it's got her in the background. Yes, I know I'm awful picky for someone that just tries to get photos of the dogs, but that's not bad. I wish he was turned a little more. Beautiful focus. I think I actually like that posture better. I don't know, let's see, so I'll have to edit her out. We'll go 1 by 1 here. And again, I just compositionally try to make them the way aesthetically I like them. And not everyone agrees on it, and most of it's open to interpretation. Some art teachers or scholars will tell you, no, this is the rule, this is baloney. It's your art, you do it the way you want to do it. That's what makes it your art. I do it in a way that is visually pleasing for me, and I hope that others enjoy it. And if you get into this kind of stuff, I hope you do the same. Still a little bright. That'll work. And then we want more of a cute personality shot. And I like that one because it looks very relaxed. Looks like he's ready to play. And he was super sweet when we got him out and finally got him warmed up to us. You wouldn't known it at first, which is, goes to my point that I was stating earlier, is that you can't really judge a dog by what you really initially run into at the shelter the first time you see him through the kennel cage and all that. Because the dog that you get might be totally different than the dog you're seeing there. Give him a chance. Just ask one of the staff you'd like to bring him out into a yard or something and be around him for a minute. Let him kind of calm down, him or her calm down. See how their personality comes out. All right, we got all those. An hour and 22 minutes. Not bad. Better than the previous records as far as the editing goes. So what I usually do at this point, it's usually closer to the 2-hour mark though, or something when I do it, but we take a short break, stretch our legs, grab a drink, use the restroom, and then we come back and we will edit these in Photoshop and get them ready for to go into our little slideshow videos and things. It won't take too terribly long, but thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you're getting something out of this. If not, you'd like to get more out of it or something else, please let me know. If there's anything you'd like to discuss, I'm here to talk about it or try to help you find someone to talk about it with you that knows what they're talking about. But thanks so much for being here, and stand by just a few minutes and we will again, we're going to stretch our legs 2, 3, 4 minutes, something like that, but we'll be right back. well, Jackson decided to join us for a minute. Didn't you? You decided to join us for a minute? Yeah. He's a big boy. I can try to get him on the doggy cam. If he'll let me. I need my arm. I gotta have my arm. I gotta have the arm to show you pretty pictures. Yes? Can I have it? Give it back. Give me my arm back. Quit. He's such a turd. He's definitely puppy. I have to find it. I haven't added this over to the Stream Deck yet, so I have to... camera dogs. Oh, he decided to lay down. That's even better. We'll have to move the camera over because he laid in a funny place. You still can't really see him. Oh! What was that, buddy? I'm knocking stuff off my desk. But that's Jackson. He's our wonderful Dane puppy. He's such a love bug, but such a puppy at the same time. So, yeah, he's a handful. I love him to death, though. Let's go scoot that back over there and turn back to here. But yeah, we love him to death. My wife since tried to talk me into getting another one. Man, I wish I had the room because I would love to have another dog that wants to play like he does, because Gracie, well, she's a Great Dane mix. She's probably half his size. And Cage is our grumpy old man, and he doesn't want to play at all. So it would be nice to be able to have a dog that he can play a little more with. Instead of constantly trying to... I say constantly trying to play with us. We play with him, but he always wants to play. So... But anyway, so now we need to go over to Photoshop and we're going to edit these up. So we're going to go dog by dog. And this was Pow. And we want to edit. And hopefully the stream doesn't... No, it's still doing good. I hope it doesn't bog down too much whenever we switch over. So I use very limited tools for this. I only use what I need. And we're using the healing brush at the moment, the spot healing brush. And it's been doing such a great job, and I hope it doesn't let me down today. Nope, it didn't then either. Knock those leashes out. We look for things like eye boogers or hairs that are just oddly placed or in their eyes or something like that, and we'll just clean them up a little. Grass on them. Sometimes they'll come out and from sniffing the grass they'll get dead grass on their nose or something to that effect. But that looks good. He's gonna break my door by leaning up against it. Yeah, it's probably about time for you guys to eat. Mom's probably gonna feed you, and that's why you don't want to be in here, huh? We're dodging on these eyes just a little, just to pop them out. Looks good. Close that down. Back to Lightroom. Now I imported a new one. I'm gonna flag that as 2, because so that I know that it's edited. Headshot. And there we go. And the same thing, you're just swiping it at big strokes with the, not with the dodge tool, with the healing brush. What's that? Sometimes it, like my caps lock is on, you see that? Caps lock off. But also, if you make it too small for the screen, you also get a crosshair. Or if you make it too big for the screen, I think you also get a crosshair. Oh, maybe not. So sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. I'll let you out in a second, buddy. I know Mom's probably about ready to feed you. There it went a little weird. Top of his head. I just grabbed the clone tool. Look for a part of the head that's similar. I know. It's so rough. He's griping at me because he knows Mom's about to feed him. That's what he wants. Okay. I hear you. I'm gonna take this weird hair sticking out over here. Really? Tell me about it. Yeah? I know. What? What? Are you just hungry? Is your belly growling? Is your belly growling? And if you missed it earlier, this is when we get to the when we get up to up to 50 subs, I've agreed to let his big butt sit in my lap. So that's the 50 sub goal. Yeah, and him would just love that. I know him would just love that. Anyway, I'm gonna let him out of the room here real quick because he knows he's about to eat. So let him back out. Mom's about to feed him, and that's why he was getting all wound up because it's his feeding time, and he knew it. And that one's good. Did it save off? No, there it went. Alright. Now we got one more. Oh, that's... Oh, wait, what? What did I do to this? That. Oh, duh. Helps to go to the right picture. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't do anything to that to make it want to create a duplicate. And that exposure is kind of low. Actually. Got some weird contrast because of the, I don't know, just something, the way that light caught here. It looks weird. So it helps to edit the right photograph. First pro tip. Alright, we're gonna remove this. Leash. And this will probably do the funny thing to his head again. Nope, didn't that time. Everything looks pretty good there. Super sharp. I say super sharp. It's really sharp for what we're doing with it anyway. Okay. Back over to Lightroom. That one gets a 2. And then we're going to move this card back to the top of the stack. Collapse that. And move on to the next one. Jack. And I'm going to take this leash out. Sometimes it just depends on how you finish the stroke with this. Sometimes it just wants to be a jerk, doesn't matter what. Kind of like it's doing now. Doesn't matter how you do it. It just wants to be a jerk. So we use the clone tool or something else to just straighten it out. Look at those beautiful eyes. There was a potential adopter was there asking about another dog, and I kind of asked him what he was looking for, and he told me, and I brought him over to Jack because was. He was a little bit shy, not much, a little bit shy, but he seemed really smart and really trainable, and kind of what this guy was looking for. The downside is the guy, he wanted a female and not a male, because he was afraid that his other male dog would have a dominance issue with another male. Nobody knows dogs like their owners, so we left it at that, and we went off and looked at a different dog. But he will definitely make someone a great companion. And those beautiful eyes. It's that eyeliner. Gracie has that. Only hers goes off more to the sides. I'm gonna get some better shots of her on the stream at some point in the near future. I just need to do more with my camera setups. That's what I need to do, and I just haven't had time yet. Next one. But again, I hope you're enjoying the stream. I'm hoping you're enjoying the content. And if you'd like to see more or something different, or you're curious about any of this, please let me know. If you know other people that might be interested in, send them on over. No, he wants his food. He's been out already, I think. Send them on over. You know, I'm happy to have them. If you're curious on how to get started in something like this, or if you just have general questions about either editing or shelters or dogs or fostering or whatever, I am not an expert on any of the above, but I can definitely head you in the right direction, give you some input. I'm happy to do that. Happy to do that. Oops, I did not mean to do that though. Pull those irises out a bit. Pupils, rather. Right? Pupils? Irises? Pupils. Irises. It is the irises. I had it right the first time. Sorry. Bit of a brain fart. So see, we pull them out like that. They stand out so much more. Just don't go crazy with it, especially on the little lighter eyes, because it'll start making them look like demons instead of dogs. I think I said pupils earlier too. Yeah, it happens. The joy of live streaming, right? No scripts involved here, folks. And you might get a hiccup when that loads in the stream, and I apologize, or in the video. It's pretty intensive pulling it over here, but it did pretty good with it last time, so hopefully it still does really well with it. It's a little light on the back side there. So we probably could have went through and toned all that down. If we were trying to make something for print, we would, but we are not. Again, we're just wanting better pictures. Better pictures to get them adopted. And I do studio photography for animals as well. And because we're getting through this fairly quickly, when we do get done, if time permits, I may go through and I'll show you guys some of my studio photography of animals. That way, if you're interested in seeing such a thing, and I don't like how this is working out here. You'd never know. And it's even a touch soft. I'm just sharpening the area up specifically here around the eyes, not by much. But my thing, and you wouldn't know it from seeing my work here, but my thing has always been low light, low key, very dramatic, almost noirish style of photography. And again, when we, towards the end of the stream here, if we get some time, I'll show you some of that stuff. To move that back to the top of the stack. On to Marley. If we can get it to pull up here. There we go. That one's a touch soft as well. Looks like it's back focused. I don't know if she stepped forward. Might I've stepped forward. I just missed it. So we'll sharpen that up a little. Just right around the eyes. It's not liking that. Hopefully it's not jacking with the video here too much. It takes quite a bit of horsepower to do all this. I have Lightroom open, Photoshop open, about 6 other applications for streaming, capturing video, capturing audio, running a few different devices. So this machine is bringing it. The specs are down below in the panels if you're on Twitch and you're curious about what I do run. Make that a 2. Much sharper image. It helps if I use the right tool. And there are hotkeys for this. I've never really used many hotkeys, and I've been doing this most of my adult life. But I do not do mass production, where it would make a big difference. So it doesn't really bother me. Now here, since this is such a sharp and a sharp image and a headshot, I'm going to clean up a lot of this loose hair. Huskies, I am sure, though I can't say factually, probably have 3 coats as well of fur. And the amount of hair you can get out of these dogs by brushing them is insane. But I like cleaning up the strange looking hairs sticking out or whatever. So beautiful. Very beautiful dog. But he had really, she, I don't remember now, had very short legs. That was the only thing I found a little odd about the mix. Like I said, it's husky and something. I don't even know what else. They didn't even have it on there. Just beautiful. Good with that. And it's that simple. Like I said, these are going out low res, so I'm sure they'll be amazing for what they're going to be used for. And we want to edit in Photoshop. There we go. And I didn't like, and I'm just making it worse, what it did to her ear. And I'm going to clean this up. I'm sorry about the clicky keyboard. It is a mechanical keyboard. I do have it on my list of things that I want to get, is a mechanical keyboard with quieter buttons. But since I've put quite a bit of equipment behind this stream thing, I want to make sure it's going to go off well before I invest much more in it. I do love doing it, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content, whether you're watching me live here on Twitch, or you catch my VOD, or you hit it up over on YouTube. I do move all of my videos over to YouTube. So if you're looking for some of my older content, and you can't find it on Twitch because it expired, you can find it on YouTube. I did notice today, on an off note, and nothing to do with dogs, I was watching, sometimes I go back and I'll watch bits and pieces of my VODs and sections that I was curious about how it turned out or what it looked like. And for some reason today, I don't know what that banging is. For some reason today, I got a lot of ads on my VOD. It was like one every 10 seconds, or 10, no, it wasn't even every 10 minutes. It was probably every 5 minutes. I was like, what in the heck is going on? Because see, it's the way, I don't know why this happened this way. Maybe I just got lucky. But forever, and this was after Twitch changed their Twitch Prime policy about ads. I didn't get ads on Twitch, through the app at least, hardly ever. And then just all of a sudden, about a month ago, I started getting ads all the time at the beginning of a stream. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it just took a while to catch up with me. That's fine. Now, I had watched some VODs before on Twitch, and I've never really had much of a problem with it. But man, today, the ads were real. And I mean, I get supporting Twitch, and I have no problem with that at all. They provide a great service. They provide it at no charge. And through that, they gain monetary compensation by running ads every now and then. Fine. But holy cow, man. It was like every 5 minutes. It was insane. I don't know if that was an accident or coincidence. And man, she just got a lot of hair. Weird, loose hair. She needed a good brushing. And again, we're just cleaning it up so we don't see the awkward ones that catch the attention. But that's alright. Do that. We're going to bring these eyes up a little bit. We got really good focus on that when we took it. That's a bit much. Let me turn that down a little. That's a little better. Just pull the eyes out a little bit. We don't want to get crazy with it. And we'll save that, and we'll move on to the next picture. Oh, we're done with that dog, so go ahead and flag that one set to 2, and I'm going to move it up to the top of the stack, and then we're going to move on to Mel. Mel was a pit bull mix. A little shy, but still really sweet. A little, didn't care for the leash too much, probably pretty new to it. You know, when they come to the shelters, you never know what they've been through or what they've done or who did what to them, unfortunately. And people seem to be going in and out of the doors at a crazy rate today. I apologize for that. We're gonna get this leash out. This wasn't one of my favorite pictures, but, and this is, since we have so many textures in the background here, I am going to try the spot heal, and we'll see how it works out. May have to cheat a little, because like I said, we don't want to spend too darn much time on these. And because that leash is about the same color as his ear, yep, I figured something crazy had happened there too, but I think we can fix that. Let's fix that with some cloning. I don't like what that did. And it can be very tricky, even with the clone tool. What, you know, what I always tell people when they ask about the clone tool is that it's a hard tool to use because you've seen what was there before, and you now see the change. Someone that has never seen the picture, most of the time, unless it's blatantly obvious, will never have any idea that that was the case. So I try it if I can get away with it, if I can fake it well enough, if I have to clone something out. Like this is actually coming out bad enough that I might back up and reheal that, because I don't like what's coming of this. But another thing you can do if you're running a pretty good, like I've got a pretty good bokeh going on here, on a pretty decent depth of field. So what I might try, I'm going to pull his ear back a little more to kind of clean up that edge. And then I'm just going to grab my tool here, and I'm just going to throw a Gaussian blur on it. And that will help smooth out a lot of those rough transitions. So we're going to blur, and we're going to go to Gaussian blur. And then we're just going to play with the numbers here and kind of see what works. If you go too heavy with it, you'll notice that the colors, you'll end up with a line of color around where your line is. So, you know, don't go too crazy with it, just enough to get it, again, just believable. All we're looking for here is to recreate something that's not distracting to the eye, and it looks believable. And I can live with that. So we had originally, you know, it was this, and we came to this. And if you had never seen that, you'd more than likely never know. Now I'm catching now with my eye this line. There's a line that runs right there. And the healing tool is usually the worst tool to use with lines because it has a bad habit of creating them. But I'm just going to see if I can break the line up. Because if you can just, again, if you can fake it, no one will ever know the difference. And especially when you're going low res like this. So. Kind of like magic, you know? If you ever watched a magic show, and I'm sure you have. The reason it's magic is because you don't know what you don't know what's really going on. And same thing here, you don't know really what the original photograph looked like. So you don't know any different. So you're just recreating the illusion. That's all. I like that. It's a little, it came out a little soft. It's just probably spinning her. I keep saying her. I'm not even positive this was a her. I think it was. Catching them. I think this was at 200th of a second. Catching them still, even at 200th of a second, with on-camera flash can be a trick sometimes. Pull these irises up a bit. Again, I really like to pull them out. I don't like them to be black holes on their face because as people, that's the first thing it doesn't matter if it's a dog, another person, and any other kind of animal, anything that has a face, as human beings, that's the first thing we look for subconsciously is a face. Look for the face. So if you can do something to really pull that out, it just sells it that much more, and it's pure marketing. Try to help these dogs get adopted. Again, we're not changing them in an unethical fashion. We're not making them look like they different than they do in real life. That's exactly what this dog looks like. I'm just enhancing some of the features, that's all. And hopefully it gets them adopted. So that was our first one. We got our headshot. Grass on the nose. A lot of times, the first thing they want to do when they come out of their kennels, they want to come out, they want to smell. Some of them, if they're housebroken, they want to go potty. And their noses are wet, so they get grass stuck on them. But that's all right. We can get rid of that. Not too worried about that. It's things like ears that get flipped over that are some of the most challenging to work with and correct. Which you can. I mean, with Photoshop, oh my gosh, you can pretty much fix Jackson wanting in. Pretty much fix anything. Just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. That's a hair soft too. Pull this leash out of here. But we really love volunteering at the shelter, and I just recreated that line even worse. But that's what I was saying about the heal tool, is that it will often leave you that line. And you can solve it in a few ways. You can just break it up with the heal tool again. You can do what I'm about to do here and just throw a Gaussian blur on it to kind of hide the change. And bam, it's again what you've seen to begin with. And I'm gonna grab this clone tool and see if I can get rid of a little bit. Straighten this knot out anyway. Little bump. I'm just trying to grab a spot that's more. I hate grabbing that one because of that light green that's behind it. That's better though. Just created a really strange looking knot on his head that I didn't like. And I'll always go through and get rid of the little stuff, like stuff that a good bath will take care of. But don't misrepresent the animal if you're editing photographs. That's a big no-no. Because it can cause an adopter not to adopt. It can cause lots of other issues too. So unless you're creating, you know, just a work of art for yourself or whatever, just then knock yourself out. Want a kitty. Want a kitty. And it is a male pit bull terrier mix. Which there's a lot of those at the shelter. I don't know. People say the word pit bull, and you know, no. Now, I'm not saying some breeds aren't, I don't know, their behavioral characteristics aren't more conducive to behaving in a manner that you would not want. But most, if not all of it, I'm not gonna go as close to the ear that time, is training. How that dog was trained, how they were worked with, how they were treated. And that's just looking bad no matter what we do. That's not too bad. My daughter has a pit bull. Wonderful dog. She has my grandson, brand new baby. Treats him like gold. Not afraid at all to have him around. We just had a lot of, I guess there was just a lot between all the dog fighting and stuff that was going on quite a few years back. They just got a really bad rep, either way. And that's just kind of the way it's been. And that's unfortunate for the breed. Because while they are very strong dogs, they're also very beautiful and they're very loyal too. And smart. Alright, we're going to go ahead and blur that one out too, because we've got too many weird color things happening right here. And just blur, Gaussian blur. And I don't just reapply the same one because it doesn't always work every time for the same one. Sometimes you do have to change it a little bit to get it to work. Like here, I'm going to leave it a little bit sharper, a little bit crisper because of the background. I think it's still a little distracting, but again, if you'd never seen the picture, you'd never know. So I'll leave that, and we'll see if we can get as lucky with the bottom part of this we did with that last one. And again, we're not looking here to create a Mona Lisa. All we're doing is getting much better photographs of these animals out in front of people on the social media and websites. It's much better than the kennel shots they get when they come in. And it helps a lot. Lots of volunteers work at this particular shelter, thankfully. And I hope that doesn't chew on the stream too much, because it seems to use a lot of horsepower, that sharpening. Which I am streaming at 1080 today. I have not streamed an editing stream in 1080, but it looks like it's doing really well. I was advised against streaming at 1080 because of the horsepower it took, and the benefit over 900 was very marginal. But I went back and watched the VODs, and I thought it was much better than the others. So we're trying it. We'll try it until it's not viable, or we run into something that doesn't like it. So we got our 3 shots, move that one to the top of the stack, and we've got 3 more of these wonderful puppies. This is Lucas. He was such a sweetie. Great Pyrenees mix. It says Shepherd. It's probably because they didn't know. Look just like an Anatolian, exactly like an Anatolian, just smaller. The whole frame was smaller. Same colorings, same demeanor. I don't know if you've ever had an Anatolian or ever met one. They're very large dogs. I was trying to compare them. Like I've got Jackson, our Great Dane. The last true Anatolian that I seen at the shelter was a couple weeks ago, and he was a big boy, and he was probably almost as tall as Jackson. And Jackson, I don't remember how tall he was, but I don't know if you were here a while ago or not, but he comes in, and I mean, his head is up here on me, and I'm sitting down, and he just walks right up to me. With Anatolians around the same height, but they're much thicker dog, but so sweet. I actually think that last Anatolian every time I go to the shelter, you know, we go there every Sunday, and every time I go there and I see a dog like that, because I'm a large breed fan. I love the large breeds. I have a big soft spot for them. And I see them in those shelters. The first thing I think about is that I hope this dog gets adopted, or I hope they make it to a rescue, because I would hate to see them get put down. And the dogs just came back from eating, so now they're playing. So, you know, sometimes I will tell the kennel staff, if for any reason that dog gets put on the list, call me. Call me. Don't put that dog down. Because sometimes they don't have a choice. No, it won't get adopted or something else. And they haven't ever had to call me, thankfully. I had one incident last year where that happened. I didn't mention anything about the dog. It was a really sweet dog. I don't remember what breed it was. It was a large breed. Really sweet dog. But it never got adopted. The dog ended up getting put down. Broke my heart. Totally broke my heart. I felt so terrible after I found out, because I asked what happened to the dog. Dumbest thing I could have did, but I asked. And it's a county shelter. They have, oh my gosh, so many animals. So it's inevitable in some cases. But man, that killed me. So every time I see an Anatolian now, I think about that big Anatolian that I just fell in love with. And they went to rescue, an Anatolian rescue. So I hope that they're doing well. But yeah, I really love the large breeds. I've never owned an Anatolian, but I would definitely like to try them at some point, or have one around. Maybe I'll foster one. Jackson, he is a Great Dane, full-blooded. He is a love bug. He loves people. He wants to be around people all the time. Matter of fact, he whines and complains if he can't be. But because he's not quite 3 yet, he's still a puppy. So he's about a 140-pound puppy. And that can be a challenge. That can definitely be a challenge. And I've raised quite a few dogs. So I'm pretty good with them. My wife and I both have. But I mentioned, like on my last stream, people, if you don't have a dog, specifically dogs, and I say dogs, I love all animals. I'm just more in tune with the dogs, and we're dog people. Cats are great too. No problem with cats. We don't have any. But as far as dogs go, if you've never owned a dog, or maybe you have, but it's been a while, or you're not sure if you want to own a dog, foster an animal. There's many reasons to do that. I was just looking at the focus on this because it was a little soft. Looks like it got back focused and they were walking forward or something. But fostering, first of all, it's incredibly easy to do if you have the time and space for it. Contact your local shelter. Tell them you're interested in fostering. Tell them kind of what you would be willing to foster as far as size or breed or whatever. And most of them will even help you feed the animal while you have them. And you take stewardship for that animal. At our shelter, which is a county shelter, when you foster, you decide who adopts that animal. It's now up to you. Not that you have to deal with all the applications or anything. They still deal with that. But when someone wants to foster, they will send them your contact information, whether it's an email or phone number or whatever. And you basically get to interview the people. You get to tell them about the dog. You get to decide whether or not you think it's a good fit, which is cool. Or in our case, see, we originally fostered Jackson because he came in as a stray. He's 140 pounds and he's huge. How do you misplace him? You don't. He came in as a stray and he was injured. They thought he was hit by a car because his whole left leg was swollen, was massively swollen, and he was dragging it. They had thought that he had a spinal injury and hit from a car. So the shelter, they knew that we loved large breeds. They knew that we had kind of looked for Great Danes before. They called me. They said, hey, dog came in. We had a Great Dane come in. See, this guy's recently been in surgery. Dog came in and a Great Dane, and we had to take him to the vet because he'd been injured. Will you foster him? Because they're a large breed. They're difficult to foster for very long. And I said, absolutely. So we went and picked him up. and foster failed. We had him for about a month, and foster failed just means that we ended up adopting him as fosters. But you know, and that you can do that too. Like I said, if you're curious about owning a dog, a particular dog, or a breed of dog, foster them. Just go foster one. And while not all dogs are the same, it will give you an idea of whether or not it's a breed that you want. And if not, you can at least help that dog find a good home. So it's a win-win, really it is. And you might save them from being euthanized or going to a bad home where no one can really advocate for them but the shelter application process or rescue application. So I do recommend it. You know, and start there. If you're newer to dogs, get a older dog. Do not get a puppy, because it will taint you on dogs altogether. Because they're hard. They're hard to deal with, especially if you've not done it before. If you have and you can, fantastic. The younger ones usually go pretty fast though. It's generally not too much problems. I had it was last week. I had a foster ask me to take pictures of her 6 puppies because she was ready to get them adopted. And of course I did it, but you know, I'm also thinking they're puppies. You take a picture, just say puppies, and you pretty much got it done. But even a phone picture, you don't have to do much to sell a puppy. And when I say sell, I mean for someone to be interested in adopting it. And I guess it's just because they're so damn cute. But that cuteness comes at a price. If you've ever owned a puppy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And some of the older dogs are so awesome. There was a case today. We went into the shelter, and it was a, I don't know, it wasn't a Shih Tzu mix, but I forget what the breed was exactly, but small lap dog. It was around 9 years old. And we went in there and they said, yeah, I don't know if it was a family or a couple had come in with 3 animals, and they wanted to have them euthanized because they were getting too old. And you should have seen all the mean faces at the people at the shelter, because of course their shelter, most of them being volunteers, they're very passionate about animals. And we told them, basically it was a fee for them to turn the dogs over. They still weren't going to euthanize these dogs for no good reason. And they didn't want to pay that. I think it was $30, $10 a dog or something like that. They didn't want to pay it. So they took the dogs to a local church and dumped them. And they ended up at the shelter. 2 of the 3 ended up at the shelter. Don't know where the 3rd one ended up at. And they were telling me the story. And I met that one 9-year-old dog. And you could tell she was 9. But really sweet, cuddly, really chill. I mean, this is the kind of dog where if it has a bed somewhere to lay in, that's all the dog needed. Was a bed to lay. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't hyper. It wasn't vicious. It wasn't barky. It wasn't. You do not euthanize an animal because it is getting old. I don't hope, but it just makes me feel better saying it, that I hope someone tries to euthanize you when you get older, if that's what you think. It's a terrible thing to say, and I don't wish that, but you get the point. You know, until a dog is in pain, or, you know, our Sadie, she was 18 years old when we finally had to put her down. She was full of cancer. She couldn't use her back legs. She was incontinent and had been for a while. But we dealt with it. That was because she wasn't in any pain. She would still wag her tail, and she was happy. So we let her go. And we had taken her to the vet about it and everything. You know, we didn't put her down or anything. But it came to a point where you could just tell she was in a lot of pain. She was suffering. Life was very difficult for her. So we went and we had her put down. And that was one of the hardest things. So I'd had her, how old was she? She was probably not quite a year old when I got her. And her, I picked up, this was when I was younger, I picked her up from an ad in the paper or something. And she was a little terrier mix. But I don't know, The way people think about animals sometimes blows my mind. And I don't mean blows my mind in a way as like, hey, I'm some animal nut, you're doing it wrong kind of way. I mean as being respectful of life kind of way. I just don't get how some people can they just disregard dog or even sometimes cats or even sometimes people as insignificant. I don't like the way that's editing up, but I don't understand that. It blows my mind. I mean, I'm no saint, don't get me wrong, but just as an example of how I feel about animals in general. What am I looking for here? Blur. I was on my way to work the other day, and I go to work very early in the morning. It's still dark outside. And one of the roads that I have to go down, and I'm in Texas, so the speed limit in Texas, I'm pretty much everywhere is silly fast. So I'm usually going at the speed limit or less. And I came around a corner on that highway, and I say highway vaguely. It's a small highway, but I came around a corner, and there was a possum in the road, and I was like, okay, which way is he headed? I'm gonna go the other way because there was no other cars, so and I could easily go around him or whatever. I just need to know which way he was going, and he just did this. He seen my headlights and he just did this, and I tried my damnedest and it didn't happen, and I ended up hitting him. I felt guilt. I still feel guilty about that, and that is the silliest thing, I'm sure, to a lot of people. But I felt bad about it. He was here. Well, he was here. His breed was here first, I'm sure. Species, rather. We built a road there. He was just trying to do his thing, and here I come. But anyway. That's better for that picture. Off the doom and gloom stuff. So we're almost through these pictures. After we get done editing these up in Photoshop, or at least editing in this capacity, we'll export them all as JPEGs, and then we're going to go back to their headshots and we're going to add an overlay on it, and that overlay is used in a video that I put together for each week of the dogs that I share on social media. And it's just a slideshow type. It's like that Facebook default thing. What happened with that? Oh, I see what happened, I think. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, it was just because of whenever Lightroom re-imports the photo, once you edit it in Photoshop, Lightroom will re-import the new JPEG, or TIFF in this matter. I edit back in TIFF. And then so it adds a new one to the stack, which puts it in front. And that's why it ends up here instead of that one being on top of the stack like we had applied before. Oh, I guess I did. Very similar shots. One is just more of a body shot. Got more body in it. I'm not a huge fan of that picture. Oh, it's not flagged. I just cropped it. Okay, so I didn't. So where's my third one? Face shot, body shot. Did I end up not picking? Okay, so we need to pick another shot of her. We'll go ahead and edit the body shot. We'll edit the body shot and we'll pick another photograph to use as kind of the personality thing. I thought we did. Apparently we didn't. That or I forgot to flag it, but I didn't see another one that I'd already cropped. Now this will be another weird one because we have the air conditioning unit on this side and white wall on this side. So when I remove this, it's going to leave a very bizarre line through that. It's actually not as bad as I had thought it would be. Maybe I'll just use that. Maybe not. Did just don't actually really notice. There's really no good way to fix it other than copying and cloning and replacing, and I think I'm just gonna leave it. You don't really notice it anyway. We'll finish editing it up, make sure we're good with it at the end. Just to make sure we're happy with the way it looks. A tad soft. Sharpen the eyes up a little bit. Pop them out a little bit. Say pop them out, I'm talking about color. I'm not a fan of that AC unit being back there to begin with, and we could remove all that, but that's not why we're here today. We're just making better pictures in general. What did happen? Something did happen with this, because that's an edit. Of 27. Oh, I guess I accidentally had clicked this. Why are there two kennel cards here? What is going on? I have totally hosed something up. That's why. What in the heck? Because Cammy's card got up here with ushers. And it figures I would do it on dogs that look pretty close to the same. Yeah, this is Cammy. Well, zoom out some, you goofball. This is Usher. So I goofed my cards up. So we are going to unstack that one. Did it unstack everything? Probably. Cammy? Yeah, Cammy is no longer in a stack. Alright, now put it back in its rightful place. So for somehow or another I ended up putting that card in the wrong stack. That was odd. I'd not done that before. Maybe that's why we were also missing that picture. Okay, so we had edited that one up, and we edited the other one up. So I'm just going to pop them to the top so now that they are there. And we're going to have to pick a third one, because we didn't. We cropped that one down and thought that we might use it, but I don't like the expression, and I don't like the angle. So we've got the headshot, and we've got the body shot. We just need some kind of creative or personality shot or something. Like, I don't mind that one. Let's use that one. Paste on my lens corrections. Crop that down to 1 by 1. And I'm just going to pull some kind of a crop out of this that I like. Yeah, that works. And then we'll edit that one. And then we'll have our 3. Wow, that did an awful job there because of the colors. And there's really got to be no other good way to do this. Jackson is getting yelled at. Let's try. I've not tried this before like this, so we're going to see how it does. It's not doing any better. Unless we can... I'm gonna click very high. I hope it doesn't nail the stream because it uses a lot of horsepower. No, it's doing alright. It didn't help any. That's better. I think I can work with that anyway, at least better than I could with the other one. So we're going to go ahead and use that. It always adds that as a layer. Jackson is harassing Mom, I think. And we'll just try to touch this up. I think it'd be easier than trying to touch that other up. Not with that, apparently. This is not going to look right no matter how I do it. Doesn't matter how I do it, so we're just going to have to kind of clean the fur up here, and I'm just going to blur it, get rid of those lines. And I'm just going to have to use that. It'll work. Won't win any awards, but it does the job, and that's what we care about. Just breaking up that line it created there. Get rid of a few of those stuff on her nose. Pull those irises out some. And good. So there's our 3. Move it back up to the top. And I didn't crop their card, apparently, because it was stuck in that stack. We haven't even selected their pictures because of that. Well, we gotta fix that. I thought that went awful fast for what we had to do. I don't need to paste them on there. Cute headshot. I don't even care that her legs are in the background. That's quite alright. Paste those settings on there. Move that out a little. I'm gonna auto that because it's a little bright. Puts a little contrast back into it. And shot, body shot. I remember this particular dog being a bit difficult to get a good shot of. We got this one, but his neck's stretched out there pretty far. And without the leash, that's gonna look weird. That one's got a shadow across his face, but it looks like might be our only other option. I might be able to use that one. We'll crop it down and see. Yeah, it's not too bad. I think it'll serve its purpose. So now we want kind of that fun shot. Or one we just really like. I actually really like that one. I just wish we didn't have to crop these like that. Did I put the lens corrections on that last one? I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm getting a little absent-minded here. did not. There we go. That one. Okay. Now we can edit these in Photoshop. And we'll get rid of the little eye boogers and stuff. Nothing that a good bath wouldn't solve. Or for that matter, a Kleenex tissue. And this weird long hair. I'm not for sure where that came from. And another one here. Looks like a shepherd's hair. But it's gone now. Beautiful eyes. Man, my nose is driving me nuts today with allergies. Yeah, I was afraid you would do that. Let's see if we can save it. I think we can. One way or another. One way or another. Not a huge fan, but we can always go back to the trusty blur to get rid of stuff we don't like. A little much. That's better. Can't really see the leash down here. It's covered by that collar. I don't think those eyes really popped anymore. They're already really good, so we're gonna leave it. And on to the next. Body shot. Not the hugest fan of it. But we work with what we have. There's so much wrong with this picture. Editing this leash out in itself might be such a pain that we might have to change pictures anyway. There's a lot of texture back there. And this is we're just going to do a big swipe at it originally and see what happens. And we'll try a small swipe when that doesn't work. Shouldn't do too bad. Kind of why I tried the bigger swipe, because it makes bigger changes. That was more around the leaf size, so it didn't do too bad. And I'm trying to pull this fur down a little better. Really using the wrong tool for it, but that's not gonna work right there, I don't think. Because the greenery. And now we've got some patterning. But we'll clean that up some more here in a minute. See if we can get the rest of this knocked out. And see what we have to do to sell it. And here I'm just cloning over the top of this to try to... I don't want a pattern. It's one problem with the cloning tool is you really have to watch that patterning, because people's eyes, or should I say people's brains, really are in tune with patterns. So if you use a clone tool and you start patterning it, people are gonna notice that it's unnatural. That's good. I'm gonna sharpen up the eyes a little bit. That was probably a little too much. Get rid of these eye boogers. Nobody wants an eye booger. And then we're going to go ahead and pop these eyes out a little bit. And we're down to 24%, which is alright, because it's always okay to apply a little less at a time than apply a bunch at once. It doesn't really help too much because his eyes are kind of shut, but that works. I'm good with that. And where did my picture go? Did we not just edit the second one? We did. Oh, there it is. Wow, either I'm blind or it just showed up. I'm not sure which, but that was crazy. So there's the two. We got a headshot, we got our body shot. Now we got more of our, kind of our creator's choice. This is the one that we liked that wasn't the headshot or the body shot. Jackson's getting into trouble. 140-pound puppy. He's something, I'll tell you. So we're probably going to have similar issues with the texture here. So we're going to go kind of big on the healing brush and hope that the fact that it's big is going to hide a lot of that striping. And it kind of did. Not really. I'm just seeing if I can break it up some, but it's not helping much. So we're going to go ahead and clone it out, and then we'll blur that back into the background. Again, all we got to do here, we're not looking to recreate reality. It just has to be believable that won't catch your viewer's eye as being unnatural. Because they have no idea what that original photograph looked like. Only you know that. So we're going to slide that up until we like it. Trying to find something that kind of fits with the rest of the background as far as the overall blur. It's probably somewhere right in there. Yeah, that's not bad. So you'd never know it. These are tough ones to edit. There's a few ways to edit this. We might even be able to patch tool. Let's try that. We don't hardly use it, so let's try it. We'll try patch tool. I don't have a stylus hooked up right now. I'm just using a mouse, so this is going to be incredibly difficult with a mouse. But we're going to try and see if we can get away with it. And I know I just screwed that up there. Probably should have just duplicated that layer so I could go back and tweak it with a mask afterwards. And I'm just going to stop it there for now. And that's better. It did pull a little bit of the blue down from the collar. You can't even really notice where I screwed that corner up. But I am going to try to fix that blue. I don't care for that blue. And again, nobody else would probably notice. This is just me being picky about it. I just don't like that blue cast on this beautiful brindle fur. But yeah, that looks alright. So the patch tool works really good. It's just, you can have a lot of problems with edging, especially if you're coming up against a bright color or something like that that's very contrasty to what you're replacing, because it wants to bleed those colors in to try to make them match. Little does it know it doesn't always do it. And you know what? I'm not even going to mess with that. You can't tell any different anyway. And if I do, I'm going to have to check with his whiskers and everything else. I think that's good enough so. Because they're all going low res anyway. So get that back on the spot healing. And we're going to get rid of these eye boogers. So again, you know, if you've not been here before, thank you for coming and visiting us. Hope you hang out. Hit that follow button. If you have any questions, you're curious about any of this, please let me know. If I can answer it, I'll sure try. Glad to have you. Glad you're stopping by. We do this stream every Sunday. I stream Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but it's on Sundays that we edit our rescue shelter animals. And talk a little bit about the day. Beautiful dog. Looks like they haven't missed a meal in a while. Could probably stand to lose a little bit of weight, but other than that, beautiful. Great clean teeth. They said they got tags, so this is probably one of those cases. Whenever dogs come into county shelters, they are on a mandatory 10-day hold. So once they come in and they're identified, the owners are contacted. Hey, we've got your dog here. If they don't come and claim them or let them know what's up within 10 days, the dog goes up for adoption. And that's just the way it works. So that's probably what happened here. Probably. I don't know for sure. Move that to the top. Collapse. Thank you. I think that's what happened last time. Excuse me, I went to click to collapse it and I somehow bumped it at the top instead. Nudge our last puppy. Let's edit here. He said, we've been trying for 2 weeks to photograph him. He just was not having it. He was so scared of people and skeptical, and this is going to be a rough one too. I don't know if Healing Brush is going to pull this one off. That's a lot to ask. It kind of did. It did better than I thought it would. Let's put it that way. But he's really skeptical of people, and we went down to the lane to do other animals on that at the shelter, and one of the staff members had came and asked, "Hey, did you get a picture of Nudge yet?" And we told her, no, we hadn't, because like I said, we've been trying for a couple of weeks to get him. But he just didn't want nothing to do with people in general. He was very untrusting of people. And she said, well, I finally got him to warm up to me. I can probably introduce him to you, and he'll be good with you. I said, okay. She went and got him, and sure enough, he was all about it after that. Super sweet dog. He was just really shy. And again, I reiterate from earlier, it's tough to judge a dog when you go see them at a shelter what their behavior is going to be like, because they're in a new strange environment around a lot of weird smells and a lot of scary things that they don't know. And you'll get a totally different, and that's not what I meant to do there, you'll get a totally different dog once you have one that is in a comfortable environment to them and they're confident about it. Totally different animal. He must have recently had a bath, because he looks good. Alright, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to clean up some of this. I'm not a big fan of the way that leash left it here. If I don't have to, I try not to edit any more than I have to. But, man, that was a lot of line. At least on that side. And here, I don't think we're going to be able to sew that as part of his lip. Although apparently Photoshop thinks it should be. I still am not a big fan of that line. Break it up some. And again, this falls back to our ability as people to see patterns and recognize patterns. If you get lines like this, and even if you're doing landscape, it doesn't matter what kind of photography you're doing or editing. When you use the clone tool, or you're trying to get rid of something that a line, all you have to do is just break it up enough. The eye will never catch it unless they're specifically looking for that. They'll never see it because your eye doesn't catch it. So we're faking it. That's all we're doing, is faking it. And I'm good with that. So we went from that to that. It's the exact same dog. We haven't misrepresented the dog. We just removed the leash so they look more approachable. Enhance enhance the eyes just a little. Didn't take long. Couple of tools. Bam. One of his. We had 3 to do. Here's another one, and this one we're actually going to have to remove my wife's feet from the picture. Those are pretty easy to do too. Again, just that healing, that spot healing tool is so useful for what I'm doing here. It can also be useful doing portrait work for removing light blemishes on the skin, as long as you don't overdo it. Otherwise, they begin to look a bit fake and porcelain, and as much as that might seem like a cool idea, it's not. Now here we're going to have to edit out this leash, but you notice the tail arches behind it. So we're going to have to recreate that arch in the tail, more than likely. We'll see how Photoshop does with it. And not that great, honestly. I mean, it's workable. That's the important part, right? Question is, how exactly are we going to handle it? Because we don't. Like I said, like I was saying before, it just has to be believable. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not creating a Mona Lisa here. We're just trying to get him a decent photograph. Well, I'm completely blowing that out of proportion now. He's got kind of a white tip on his tail. So we're gonna capitalize on that. I'm just trying to get rid of some of the weird colorations here, so it doesn't draw as much attention. This is not bad. I'm not happy with this spot right here. With any of this, really. So we're going to go back and get our faithful lasso tool and blur that out. That's probably a little much. There we go. That'll work. And we'll pop those eyes out a little. This didn't make a huge difference in that particular shot, but now we do have this weird shadow, which is the leash. You probably wouldn't know it because the light's coming from this way. Well, I guess you would. We'll try just healing it out and see what happens. Didn't do a very good job. I'm just leaving it. I'm just gonna leave it. And you can the best way to go about that if you want to get rid of it is to use your clone tool and just keep kind of. The thing with this, it may not matter in that particular picture because it looks like it was all pretty close to in focus, is you got to watch your where your field of focus is, because if you're going to clone from back here up to here, it's obviously going to look bad. You want to try to stay on a horizontal plane when you're editing something that has a depth of field like that, so that you always get the same sort of focal range out of what you're copying over. Otherwise it can look really weird. And here's our last picture. brush again. Spot healing, and it's probably going to goof his ear all up. Yep. And it left a nasty line right there. So we are going to grab from over here, and we're just pulling similar colors over. And anytime you need to recreate a line, always clone from the line. That way you can keep it as natural looking as possible. This is going to be a tough one because we've got 3 intersecting colors here. Don't like what happened here. We're going to try to straighten it up. There we go. And then, as we should know by now, for this line, we're going to blur it out. That one we can do a bit more because our depth of field is pretty heavy, but we still ended up with a line there. So I'm actually going to take my sponge. Should I take the sponge? Yeah. We can try the blur tool. We're at 25% strength. I'm going to turn that up to about 50. See if we can just pull all that back together. Which it may not be. We may have to use a different tool for it, but I'm not too happy with it at the moment. We're going to try that again. See, the other thing that makes it tricky, and there's a way to turn it off. I'm not sure what the hotkey is. You can turn off the dancing ant lines, I think they call them, because it can make it hard for your eyes to see what the real difference is going to be. Not a huge fan of it, but I hate to spend much more time on it. I mean, you can go and clone that out, and I don't think we're going to mess with it, though. I think it's okay. Get rid of this leash on the bottom. Sharpen those eyes up just a little. Dodge them. Irises so they pull out a little bit. And there we go. Alright, now we've got done with all those. We're now done with them all, so all we need to do now is export them. So it's been only about 3 hours now, but at this point we will take another short break. And when we come back, we're going to export those as JPEGs, and then we're going to pull them into Photoshop, add our final overlay to them, which is just some information about the animal. And that'll be it. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. And Mom was getting tired of babysitting Jackson. So he's in here with us now. Aren't you, buddy? You in here with us now? So, we're now going to edit these over in Photoshop again, but this time we're going to export first to JPEGs. So, File, Export. And it is dogs already. And today is the 2nd, 6th month. And of course, I cannot read his kennel card number. And I export these by number so that we can easily find the pictures again if the dog's name changes, which often happens. Should have just exported them all at once, but we can just do an export. I thought there was one here. There is. Previous? No, I don't want to do that. Actually, why did that? Did I export? I exported that wrong, I think. Let me go over and see how it exported. Exports. Dogs. 6.2. It did. It exported it wrong. That's what my original file number. I'm just exporting at 72 dpi, 1080. So there's one. I'm going to export these. So we're just going to change this number. And just rinse and repeat for the rest of these. Oh, and I guess I could switch to, it would help if you could see what I'm doing, couldn't it? So sorry. Export. We'll get it. Wow, this is a very different number. 175. Very different number. And it is pegging the frame rates there when I'm exporting those like that. So only a few more. Well, you get mad. Mom said no. Because you're being a pain in the butt. And you can't go anyway. No, you can't go anyway. 004. Didn't peg that bad on that one. That last one did though. The one before that hit it pretty hard. Hope I did that right on the last one. Jackson, that's enough. You're not going out there. He knows Mom is leaving. She's running uptown for a minute. And he wants to go. It is missing a couple frames when I do that, so it is stuttering a bit. So, again, we'll be through it here in just a second. But I'm amazed that it's running even as well as it is, as much horsepower as we're pulling from this machine right now. it's because it's a single machine. I don't use two. I'm not using a streaming machine. This is all one machine. Okay, we're done in Lightroom. Yes, I want to quit. No, I don't want to back it up right now. So now we are going to open up our template. Okay, first we have nudge. And they reorder them by the way they look in Windows. They reorder them by the ID, so they won't necessarily be in the same order that we exported them. No, you're not going out there. No. Absolutely not. Get mad. No. He's not happy. He's not happy at all. See what I mean? He's a 140-pound puppy. Right now he's not getting his way, so that's him getting mad at me. No. No, you cannot go out there. Mom said no. Sorry. Sorry. Hopefully that condenser kicked in okay and didn't kill your ears. I say condenser. Is it a limiter? I don't know. I'm not an audio tech, but hopefully it's okay. Sorry about your ears if it wasn't. And we'll pull in Nudge's face shot. Get mad. You're not going out there. I'm sorry, buddy. You're going to have to just suck it up. My ear itch. And we're just going to save that. Not there. Oh, you poor thing. You poor guy. He's just. No. Sorry. You get mad. I'm not. No, you're not going out there. Yes, Mom is leaving, and no, you're not going. Sorry. See, that's another reason you get a dog, because you can do stuff like that and put up with the fits. Yeah, it's just something with the Danes. They back talk a lot. Very vocal. Not afraid to express their opinion. Did I spell that right? I hope I did. Oh, come on. R-I-E-V-E-R. Yeah. And he is a male as well. And we just need his headshot. And he laid down. Let's see, if I would have gave him more attention while I was barking, he would have kept doing it. Because he thought I was getting him what he wanted. Okay, Jack. And then we have Pow. I don't know where that came from. He just did that by accident. Pow is a Bulldog Heeler mix. Also a male. You're gonna end up in your kennel. You want to go to your kennel? I don't think you do. You gotta behave. And these are what we'll use in our video, slideshow video, and some of the volunteers use them as well because they say their name and what they are. They're pretty helpful. Like I said, very vocal. Pitbull mix. Male. He wants my attention so bad right now. How can you not laugh? I try to ignore because if you ignore him, he wants my attention. So if I ignore him and I try to consistently do that, then he'll learn eventually barking doesn't do me any good. I'm just expending energy for no reason. There's Mel. Pitbull. Did we export that already? We did not. Mel was a boy, right? Yes. There we go. And Marley. Nobody, you can't go out there. Mom does not. Actually, I think Mom left already. Is that why you went out? I want to see where Mom went. I know. Life's so hard. What in the world was he? Marley was that husky mix. That's what it was. Male. And we'll get his headshot in there. Export that one off. And almost done. We've got 3 more dogs to export these off for, and then we've spent the last, not too bad today. It'll probably be about 3.5 hours by the time we're done editing all these pictures and getting them to export. Not bad. I didn't soapbox too much today though, so that helps. I can keep on task. Cammy, not Bammy. Cammy, i.e., yeah. Cammy was a shepherd mix. I think, right? Yeah. Female? Yes. So, female, not male. It's a pretty pink background. And we need a face shot. And we'll save that off. And 2 more. Lucas, and he's such a sweet dog. He was so awesome. If I only had more room. I would definitely have more. Here's an Anatolian mix. He looks just like an Anatolian, but he's the size of like a German Shepherd. Actually, he's a little bit smaller than a German Shepherd. So it's kind of a win-win for whoever adopts him. Beautiful dog. Beautiful. He's so pathetic. He got kicked in here because... I say kicked in here. He got sent in here. Because mom had to leave for a bit. And he's a 140-pound puppy. And he gets into everything. So he had to come in here with me for a while. And he's not happy about it. Get mad. It's okay. It's all right. Pitbull mix, Asher. Male. Headshot. We're almost done, buddy. We're almost done. Beautiful dog as well. Oh, goodness. He is barking directly into the microphone. I hope that limiter is capping that and I'm not blowing your ears off. It's a loud bark. Yeah, we'll save that. Hang on, I'll show you in case you've never seen Jackson before. Oh, quit being obnoxious. Cut it out. You're not winning anybody over with that crap. You're not winning anybody over with that crap. So I'm in a regular chair. And he's that tall. And he's a big meathead. Aren't you? Yeah, I know. You can't go out there without somebody. No. Because you get into everything. Yes. We've had him about, oh, it's not been quite a year. We got him as a rescue. Really? And, they don't mature until they're about 3, and he's not there yet. He's about 2.5. So he still acts like a puppy. But he's the size of a small horse. Aren't you? And Henri, yes, and he thinks he's the size of a chihuahua. I know. He's mad because mom left. You didn't take him with you. No, she didn't take you, did she? She's such a mean mommy. She's such a mean mommy, and you're such a baby. Anyway, so we got through those pictures. It didn't take us too long. It took us, I don't know, what was it? We've been streaming now about 3 hours and 14 minutes. So we got through them all. We can do, I was going to show, I know that some people had asked about my studio work that I do as well. I don't know if he's going to let me, but I'm going to see if I can pull some up here. Give you the evil eye. As if that would do any good. He's a meathead. Oh. Oh, goodness. Loves to talk. This is Billie Jean. This is some of my studio work. You're gonna go to your kennel. Is that what you want to do? You want to go to your kennel? Shut up. Let me go put him in his kennel right now. Because he's got to do this the whole time and make this all impossible. So give me just a second. I'll leave I'll leave Billie Jean up. And give me just a second, I'll be right back. Alright. So put him in his kennel. Because he was not gonna let up. And Gracie decided to join us instead. And she's smaller. She's also a Great Dane mix. Let me well, hang on, sweetie. I gotta operate things here. I put Billie Jean up for you guys and I never even showed you. I'm an asshole. Sorry. I apparently switched that scene and didn't switch back. Yes, Grace, I know. There we go. Gracie, she's our Great Dane mix. All three of my dogs are rescues. She's beautiful. Yes, she's fun. I can show you on a different cam, maybe, if she'll behave for a second. I don't have all these scenes hotkeyed yet. Sorry, I'm only about 3 weeks into streaming again. And still getting things set up, but let me find my dog cam. There we go. Dogs. Have some doggy butt. Back up a minute so people could see you. Back up. Back up. Back up. Anyway, she's about half the size of Jackson. And she is super sweet. I'm trying to fix that so you get a better idea. And it's not working very well. Here, come over here. Turn around. Come on, turn around. There you go. That's better. A little bit. Your head's getting cut off. That's better. She's a pretty girl. And that camera, that's a Logitech C920. It doesn't really do her much justice. She's a beautiful fawn color. Love her to death. She's super sweet. I can't believe she's not a breed. She's a really good dog. Really good dog. So anyway, let me try to tilt that camera back down. If I can do it without breaking it. And then when she lays down or something, we'll switch that back on. But we'll go back. There we go. So this is Billie Jean. She was one of the first few dogs I photographed in a studio environment. And beautiful dog. She was a designer dog, they said. A Shar-Pei and something else mix. But she was very beautiful. Super sweet. But my stuff is generally more low-key if I'm shooting in my style. Let me see if I can find one. Who would I have done like that? Sacagawea. Yep. So this is Sacagawea, and this is more my style of photography. This is a lot of the work that I do that we print. It's more low light, low key, really dramatic kind of stuff. And I just so love that kind of that kind of photography, especially with dogs. I don't know what it is. It's just something about it really pulls you into the picture and just makes them look absolutely stunning. I'll find a few more here. I need to find, I think it's archived, my rescue collection in its entirety. Because I don't know what, I don't know where it is. I have to dig. I guess I've already exported it completely off my drive. And that's Gracie. That's a better picture of her. Thought I had a good low-key one of her, but maybe not. Maybe not of her. And I just closed that window. I did not mean to. There we go. Pictures. Exports. Chispa. This is more dramatic lighting. It's not the black and whites. It's in the colors, but it's again, this is how I shoot. If you bring an animal to my studio and you want my photography, this is what my photography looks like. This is a representation of how I shoot, which is a lot more dramatic and low key. I do regular, full light photography as well. But the low key stuff is really my forte. It's really what I love to do. I'm passionate about creating that just spot on light. Really what I love. We've got more. Just trying to think of who, since I don't have that collection available to me at the moment. This is Lee. Again, this is more my style. The only thing I don't like about this picture that I like about the other one is that I caught the left eye as well. Here I did not. Here I caught both eyes. It's perfect. This one I didn't, but it was still a very beautiful picture. Very pretty picture. And some more out here. This was Neville, I believe. Puppy. More of this, a black and white. Love that one too. Reminds me of that old it was RCA commercial or something, or a logo. I don't remember, but the dogs, listen to that. I'm drawing a blank. The old record player thing. Can't remember what it was now, but that's what it reminded me of. Or if you want the super cute pictures, same puppies. Again, that's Neville. That one's not so great. They're harder to see in the small thumbnails. As I try to poke through here and pull a little bit up, just to kind of show you guys some of the stuff that I've done. Like if I had to show some stuff that represented my work, my studio work, what would it look like? And I also have, oh, here's Jackson. That's the big turd that was just barking in the microphone. Dogs. Sorry, I have so many photographs. I'm trying to run through the list of what I have. See if any of them ring bells for. No, that one has been emptied. I have some cats in here as well. cats. Did I put them in here? This is super cute. Super cute puppy. Doggone it, I know they're in here. Cats. This is not the cats that I wanted, though. This was just at the shelter. Just photographing cats in the cattery. We don't do too many cats. My wife's allergic to them. So she can't help me. So I just kind of went there on my own and took some. Super cute though. Adorable. That one's one of my favorites too. It's not the cat ones I was looking for though. I was kind of rummaging through here earlier and I was like, I know I have some stuff. Gracie jumping. She loves to run. And this is Cage. He's our 15-year-old lab German Shepherd mix. Grumpy old man. Ears are all wet from playing. I don't have any like that of Jackson yet. This was before Jackson. Super cute. Giving kisses. Adorable. Just adorable. And I don't know. Bronson. Black and white. I think that one might have made it to print. Here's a bunch of puppies. This is more of an even lighting. This is more of a typical commercial grade or magazine grade shots. It's puppies. Super cute though. And they were so good. This is hard to get good pictures of animals because of the way they're unpredictable as far as posing goes. All those who go back through them. So it's the same deal even in the studio. You just kind of set up the environment to be conducive to the kind of shots you want to get. In the studio, I run a 3-light setup. I run my main, my key light, and I run 2 side lights, and I have them all on radio control. And I just watch the dog or cat and how they move and where they're looking, and I'll switch my lights depending. Kind of rotate the lights around them through the radio so I'm not moving and take the pictures. Like here, this is just the key light. There's no side lights here at all. It's just the key light. I think this was a 38-inch beauty dish, I think. And it looks like it might even have had a grid on it. And I sure wish I could. I know I seen them just a while ago. Because before the stream I was kind of poking through here. I was like, do I have those on here still? I also do horses. These were rescue horses. I have a few of those. I haven't got a call on those in a while though. I'm just kind of on a list here for photographers for rescue animals. He's not happy again. And when somebody really needs photographs for a rescue animal, they give me a call. Julia, she was such a sweetheart too. Very beautiful. Very pretty dog. Still not the ones I'm looking for though. But I will find them. If you bear with me. Or if you're curious enough to hang out for a few here. This is Mason. Here's the compositional point. I was mentioning earlier about how the animal or person looks. You know, how do you know how to crop it or where to crop it? So this is a good example. This is Mason. He's a rescue dog. And right now, while I really love the lighting on this shot. I think it's beautiful light. I don't care for the composition because he's looking out of the picture. And he's looking out of the picture so that his tail can also be in it. Now, a few seconds later, he moved his head. I switched the lighting, and we got this. So, all I did here is turned off the side light over here. I left the key light on. And got that. So that's all I did is he turned his head, I turned off that side light, that accent light, kicker light, and left the main on. And I got this. Now to me, this is much more appealing compositionally because he's looking into the picture and you get this nice swirl out of it. Where here, while it's a beautiful picture, it's got this kind of, it does have kind of the Z to it, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing when you're talking about information. But as far as a photograph goes, not the hugest fan. But the light's beautiful. It caught the eyes beautifully. Really, really gentle light. Some fall off there. It looks really good. Up in the chest, we got a lot of really nice gentle fall off. Really like that picture. More dramatic lighting. Same dog. But what I might do, it depends on how the weeks go, but I'd like to do a stream kind of on photography of animals and things and how I did it and how I do these shots and what to do and how to do it and how do you even get started doing it if you're something you're curious about. So if it's something you'd like to know about, let me know. Because, if a lot of people are interested, I'll do it maybe sooner rather than later. And I promised you guys cats, and I can't find the cats. I really want to show them to you before I let you go so that you don't say, he promised me cats, and I didn't see any cats. They're here, I promise. I just have to find them in this mess of photographs. I thought they were in here. I do people as well, models. Lots of those. Rebecca, a wonderful gal, model, had these awesome, beautiful earrings. So we shot those. Oh my goodness, I don't know where the cats went. Maybe they're in. Nope. 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 Maybe. Nope. Well, doggone it. I know they're in here because I seen them, but I don't know where. I literally have. It would not surprise me if I didn't have 100,000 photographs on this machine. Between this and my archive drive. It would not surprise me one bit. So, unfortunately, I cannot find them right now. Damn, I thought I just got lucky. I did talk about my niece and her husky the other day. For those of you who may have thought I was teasing, there it is. There's the husky and my niece. She has one. I don't know. I'll just have to. I mean, you did get to see the ones of those, the cats in the shelter, but that's not the ones I'm talking about. These aren't studio cats. These are not studio photography cats. This is just in the cattery. Um, but man, I really wish. Like, I just seen them before I started the stream 3.5 hours ago. I seen them in here. And I guess the next time I see him, I'll have to move him to the cats folder because, you know, that would kind of make sense. They're probably, it was, I think it was under a particular project or particular person. And that's why I'm not picking it. I'm not finding it now. There's another one of Jackson. Gallery, Billie Jean. Puppies. Nope, I don't know. I don't know where they went. I'll just have to dig them up. But, you know, I can do that. I'll do that. I'll try to get that together, and we'll at some point we'll spend a stream talking about just photography in general, animals in general, taking pictures of animals, how you I say how. I'm not an expert at it. I am a professional photographer. I do these pictures commercially, but I am not the end all for this kind of stuff. This is my work. This is how I do it. This is the kind of photography I love. So that's what I do. So if it's something you're interested in or interested in getting into, you know, let me know. If I can share some stuff to help you get started or get along or just talk about, just, you know, let me know, and we'll sure try. But you know, until then, and until next, I may stream a little bit later, a little bit of gaming. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm gonna wait for Mom to get back and go get Jackson out of his kennel, so he's a happier puppy. But until next time, if you're around here, hit that follow button. If you're on Twitch, if you're watching this on a VOD on Twitch, please still hit that follow button. I appreciate it. If you're catching this over on YouTube, there's a subscribe button down below. Catch that. I move all my VODs over. If you're looking for older stuff over on YouTube, you can also catch me on Twitter. I try to tweet a lot up on Twitter. I actually didn't tweet this stream. Shame on me. But you know, if I'm going to do an one-off stream or I've got some ideas or some thoughts, or when I go live, I do tweet it out as well. You can catch me over there. I'm also on Facebook. All that information is below in the panels on Twitch, and for YouTube, you can go over to my Twitch and catch that information on the panel. But I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching the video, and we're going to keep plugging away at it and try to make these things better and more of what you'd like to see. So until next time, thanks for playing.